small daily choices create massive momentum because they quietly shape who you become long before the world ever notices. People often wait for the perfect moment, a big opportunity, or a sudden breakthrough to change their lives, but the truth is simple. Greatness rarely arrives in one dramatic moment. It grows in the small, consistent decisions that most people overlook. The tiny disciplines you practice every single day, waking up when the alarm rings, choosing gratitude over frustration, doing the extra repetition when no one is watching, showing up even when you don't feel like it though, are the choices that create the compound effect that changes everything. What you repeat becomes a pattern, and what becomes a pattern becomes your identity. There's power in the things that look insignificant. A single drop of water seems useless on its own, but over time it can carve through stone. A snowball starts as a handful of snow, nothing impressive, nothing special. But the moment you start rolling it step by step, inch by inch, it gathers weight, speed, and force. That's exactly how personal growth works. You don't need to move mountains at the start, you just need to move yourself. You just need to begin. And when you do, those small steps start to multiply. What was once difficult becomes normal. What was once normal becomes natural. And what becomes natural eventually becomes unstoppable. The reason small choices are so powerful is because they build trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you chip away at doubt and build confidence. Every time you honor your goals, even in a small way, you prove to yourself that you are someone who follows through. That internal trust becomes momentum. And momentum is priceless, because once it starts working for you, even the hard days can't stop you. You develop the mindset that says, I don't need the perfect conditions, I don't need motivation, I just need commitment. People underestimate the value of showing up consistently. They think success is about intensity, but it's really about consistency. Intensity gets you started, but consistency keeps you growing. Think about a person trying to get in shape. One workout won't change their life, but doing a little bit every day for 3 months, that transforms everything. A person trying to improve their mindset won't become unshakable in a day, but choosing positivity, choosing patience, choosing discipline every day that rewires the mind over time. These small decisions build a stronger version of you, layer by layer. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be persistent, because small daily choices are proof that you're not waiting to become better. You're actively becoming better. And one day you'll look back and realize that the little things weren't little at all. They were the foundation. They were the spark. They were the snowball that turned into a force you couldn't stop even if you tried. Discipline becomes identity, because every action you repeat is a vote for the person you are becoming. People think discipline is only about forcing yourself to do difficult things, but it's much deeper than that. Discipline is the bridge between who you are right now and the person you know you can be. It's the quiet, consistent commitment you make to yourself every single day. In the beginning, it feels like effort. It feels like pushing. It feels like going against your own comfort. But over time, those disciplined actions start to shape your character. They move from something you do into something you are. When you train yourself to follow through, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable, you build a foundation of inner strength that can't be shaken by circumstances. The powerful thing about discipline is that it rewires your mindset. The first time you choose to stay committed, it might feel hard. The second time, it might still feel like a battle. But the more you do it, the more you train your mind to recognize that this is who you are now. You're no longer someone who quits when it's tough. You're no longer someone who waits for motivation to kick in. You become someone who shows up, because that's what you do. You begin to take pride in your consistency, not your comfort. And that pride becomes fuel. It becomes the quiet fire inside you that says, I keep going because I promised myself I would. At that point, discipline is no longer just a practice, it has become a part of your identity. Identity always follows behavior. When you continuously make disciplined choices, your self-image changes. You start believing in your own ability to grow, to improve, to overcome. And belief is powerful. Once you believe you are capable, you start acting like in every area of your life. You walk differently, you think differently, you respond differently. You stop negotiating with excuses, because excuses no longer match the person you see yourself as. Discipline becomes the standard you hold yourself to, the quiet expectation you have for your own life. And when your identity changes, your entire trajectory changes with it. People who rely on motivation will always struggle, because motivation is emotional, it comes and goes. But discipline is a decision. It's steady, it's solid, it's intentional. When you build your identity around discipline, you stop being swayed by mood, by fear, or by difficulty. You act from commitment, not convenience. And that makes you dangerous in the best way. Dangerous to doubt. Dangerous to laziness. Dangerous to every limitation you once believed about yourself. Because now, you don't rise to the level of your feelings. You rise to the level of your standards. The truth is, identity built on discipline is unshakable. It's earned. It's strengthened in the dark, in the early mornings, in the quiet sacrifices no one else sees. It's the identity of someone who refuses to settle, someone who keeps pushing, someone who's not just hoping for growth, but demanding it from themselves. And when discipline becomes your identity, the world can't help but see the difference, because you start living from a place of purpose, power, and undeniable momentum. Growth happens in the dark before it shows in the light, because every meaningful transformation begins long before anyone applauds, recognizes, or even notices what you're doing. People often celebrate the breakthrough, but overlook the breakdown, the private battles, the quiet work that built the foundation. The truth is, every strong tree had to push its roots deep underground before it ever touched the sky. Every champion had seasons where they worked with no spotlight, no praise, no validation. Growth is born in silence, in solitude, in the spaces where you feel unseen. It's uncomfortable, it's slow, and it often feels like nothing is happening. But that's where the real shaping takes place. The dark scenes of life are where your character is formed. When you're grinding, learning, failing, adjusting, trying again, those moments determine who you're becoming far more than the moments when life is easy. It's in the dark where you learn patience. It's in the dark where you develop resilience. It's in the dark where your commitment gets tested. And those tests are not punishments, they're preparation. They build the internal strength. You need to handle the weight of the light when it finally comes. Because if you reach success without being built for it, that success will break you. The dark protects you while shaping you into someone who won't fold under pressure. The reason the early stages feel invisible is because growth rarely gives instant rewards. You can be working on your goals every day and still feel like you're stuck in the same place. But just because you can't see the progress doesn't mean it's not there. A seed doesn't sprout the moment it's planted. It has to break, to struggle, to push through resistance before it becomes anything visible. That hidden struggle is not failure. It is the process. And the people who keep going during that invisible phase are the ones who eventually become unstoppable. Most people quit because they mistake slow for stagnant. But momentum is built long before it's seen. In the dark, you discover whether your dream was just a wish or a true commitment. Anyone can work when the outcome is obvious, but it takes a different level of heart to keep showing up when it feels like no one cares, when you question yourself, when results seem distant. But those who stay committed eventually step into the light with a depth, strength, and a confidence that can only come from surviving the darkness. They shine differently because they earned it differently. And when the light finally comes, when people start noticing, when the results show, when the opportunities open, they only see the surface. They see the confidence, the skill, the discipline, but they don't see the long nights, the sacrifices, the doubts, the failures you turned into fuel. They don't see the internal battles you fought just to keep going. They don't see the private tears, the silent prayers, the moments you almost gave up but didn't. That's why the dark is necessary. It shapes you quietly so that when the world finally sees you, you're not just ready for the light, you're built for it. Pressure is a privilege because it means you've stepped into a space where something is expected of you, where your effort matters, where your presence makes a difference. Most people run from pressure because they think it's a sign that life is too heavy, too demanding, too much. But pressure isn't a problem. It's proof that you're in the game. It's proof that you're growing. It's proof that you're becoming someone whose choices, actions, and commitment actually carry weight. Pressure only shows up in the lives of people who are aiming higher, pushing forward, and carrying responsibilities that require strength. If you feel pressure, it means you've been trusted with something meaningful. The truth is, pressure exposes who you are while shaping who you can become. When life squeezes you, it reveals your mindset, your patience, your discipline, your resilience. It shows you your weaknesses, but it also shows you your potential. And the powerful thing about pressure is that it doesn't just reveal, it refines. It forces you to focus, to grow, to elevate your standards. Diamonds only form under pressure. Muscles only grow under tension. Strength is always born from strain. So when pressure hits, it's not trying to break you. It's trying to build you into someone stronger than you were. before. Pressure pushes you into levels of effort you would never reach on your own. It makes you dig deeper, think harder, move smarter. It brings out a version of you that comfort could never create. Comfort keeps you average. Pressure pushes you toward excellence. Comfort protects you from stress. Pressure prepares you for greatness. When you understand that, everything changes. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start saying, this is shaping me. You stop fearing the weight and start recognizing the opportunity inside it. People who avoid pressure never discover what they're capable of. They never stretch. They never rise. They never evolve. But the ones who lean into pressure develop something unshakable inside them. They learn how to perform when it's tough, how to stay calm when it's loud, how to focus when everything is on the line. They become people others can rely on, people who remain steady when the moment is big. And that steadiness doesn't come from talent. It comes from surviving pressure over and over again until you realize you're built for it. Pressure also means you're trusted. A person without potential isn't given responsibility. A person without value isn't handed expectations. The fact that life puts weight on your shoulders means you can carry it, even if it feels heavy, even if it feels overwhelming. Pressure recognizes ability before you recognize it in yourself. Sometimes life will give you more than you think you can handle just so you can discover you're capable of more than you believed. When you embrace pressure, you stop running from challenges and start running toward growth. You begin to see every stressful moment, every difficult responsibility, every high-stakes situation as a chance to sharpen yourself. Pressure becomes your training ground, your proving ground, your preparation ground. And once you learn to handle pressure, the world opens up in ways it never could for someone who avoids it. Because the person who learns to carry weight becomes the person who is ready for every opportunity that requires strength, courage, and composure. That's why pressure is a privilege. It's the invitation to become the strongest, most capable version of yourself. Surroundings shape your speed because the people, environments, and energy around you either push you forward or pull you back without you even realizing it. You can have the hunger, the dreams, the goals, the discipline, but if you're surrounded by people who move slow, think small, quit early, or stay comfortable, that mindset will rub off on you. Human beings adapt to whatever environment they're in. If you stay around people who complain, you'll start complaining. If you stay around people who settle, you'll start settling. But if you surround yourself with people who work, who push, who think bigger, grow, who chase something meaningful, you'll naturally start matching their pace. Environment is influence, and influence determines speed. Some people in your life don't mean you harm, but they slow you down without even knowing it. They're not bad people, they're just not going where you're going. They don't want more. They don't push themselves. They move at a pace that's safe, comfortable, predictable. If you're not careful, you'll match that pace and never break out of the slow lane. Your surroundings can lull you into believing that average is normal and good enough is acceptable. But once you get around people who are hungry, people who are disciplined, people who are committed, you begin to realize that the speed you thought was fast was actually standing still. The right environment doesn't just add speed, it adds belief. When you watch someone wake up early, grind hard, stay consistent, and keep their standards high, it makes you look at yourself differently. It makes you ask, why not me? The energy of people who expect more from themselves makes you start expecting more from yourself too. You rise because you're inspired. You go harder because you're challenged. You stop making excuses because the people around you won't accept excuses. Their momentum becomes contagious, and their pace becomes your new normal. Your surroundings also shape your speed by shaping your mindset. If you spend your time around people who fear risk, you'll move cautiously. If you spend your time around people who embrace growth, you'll move boldly. If you're surrounded by negativity, you'll hesitate. If you're surrounded by ambition, you'll accelerate. The environment becomes the thermostat. For your effort, you adjust to whatever temperature everyone else is set at. That's why you must be intentional about who gets close to you. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not everyone deserves a seat in your life. Some people drain your drive while others amplify it. There comes a moment when you have to ask yourself who you're becoming because of the people around you. Are they pushing you forward or keeping you in place? Are they challenging you to grow or comforting you in your limitation? You can't run at full speed while holding hands with people who choose to walk. You can't become exceptional while spending your time with people who are comfortable being average. Elevation requires separation, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. You're not better than anyone. You're just trying to become better than the person you were yesterday. When you choose surroundings that match your ambition, everything changes. Your pace increases. Your clarity sharpens. Your standards rise. You stop moving through life casually and start moving with purpose. You start sprinting toward your potential instead of strolling toward it. Because the truth is simple. If you want to go faster, grow stronger, and reach higher, you need an environment that pushes you to move at the speed of your potential, not the speed of someone else's comfort. The snowball never rolls itself because nothing in your life changes until you decide to push. People wait for motivation, for clarity, for opportunities, for the perfect moment. But waiting never builds momentum. Motion does. Initiative does. The willingness to take the first uncomfortable step does. Your dreams won't chase you. Your goals won't magically achieve themselves. Your life won't transform out of convenience. It transforms out of commitment. The snowball effect only begins when you take that first push, small, shaky, imperfect, but intentional. Once you start, momentum begins to gather. But without that first act of ownership, nothing moves, nothing grows, nothing becomes what it could be. The hardest part of any journey is the beginning. The hill looks steep, the snowball looks small, and your mind is full of doubts. You question whether the effort is worth it. You wonder if you have what it takes. You fear failing in front of others or even failing yourself. But progress doesn't require confidence. At the beginning, it requires courage. It requires you to act before you feel ready. It requires you to choose movement over hesitation. That first push may feel insignificant, but it's the push that changes your direction, your attitude, and your belief in what's possible. The snowball won't start rolling until you choose to start rolling it. Every time you take responsibility for your life, you build momentum. Every time you stop making excuses and start making moves, the snowball grows. Every time you take control, instead of waiting for circumstances to change, you become stronger. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards action. It rewards the person who doesn't just dream but works. The person who doesn't just hope but shows up. The person who doesn't just talk about change but takes responsibility for creating it. Once you push that snowball, you realize you didn't need everything to be perfect. You just needed to begin. What makes the snowball powerful is consistency. Not one push, but many. Not one moment of effort, but a lifestyle of effort. That's when momentum starts taking over. That's when things that once felt heavy become easier. That's when progress starts to feel natural. That's when your actions stop being a fight and start becoming a rhythm. But that rhythm never forms if you refuse to push in the first place. Momentum is earned through repetition day after day, choice after choice, sacrifice after sacrifice. Eventually, the snowball becomes so big, so strong, so steady that it rolls on its own. But you had to be the one who started the process. Taking ownership means understanding that no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you discipline, confidence, success, or purpose. Those are built. Those are earned. Those are created through your willingness to do the work that others avoid. The snowball doesn't roll because you wish for it. It rolls because you lean down, put your hands on it, and push through the cold, the weight, the resistance, and the doubt. And the moment you commit to that push, everything changes, not because life suddenly gets easier, but because you become someone who refuses to stay still. In the end, the snowball effect is a reminder that your growth, your future, and your transformation belong to you. You are the force that sets things in motion. You are the spark that ignites momentum. The snowball will grow. It will accelerate. It will become unstoppable, but only after you decide to make that first move.